Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. About a year ago, I made a video about Storj platform and how much you can earn with it. And now a lot of users are requesting an update to that video and asking me if it's still viable to be a Storj node operator. And I will share all of my findings with you. Just a small disclaimer. This is all my personal thoughts and no one should be offended by them because, for example, last time I did a video, someone directly from Storj reached out in the comments saying that some of the practices I did weren't ideal for the use case. So at the moment I have 3 nodes I can show you. One node with 1.8 terabyte space, and space on this node was actually expanded from 1 terabyte to 1.8. I explain why I did that later on in a video. And the other 2 nodes are both running on Raspberry Pis, and they both have 1 terabyte drives connected to them. The only difference is that one joined the Storj network back in February, and the other one joined network pretty recently, back in August. Now let's switch to the screen view so I can show you my node stats and dashboards. And the first node we have here is 1.85 terabytes. It's hosted in Germany at Hatzner. I had one free host with just few VMs on it, so I decided, hey, why not use it for storage? And it's actually a good time to record this video because it's almost the end of the month. With only 1 week left, we can actually analyze what happens here. Bandwidth used on this node was 520, and there's still a week to go, so I assume this would be around 600, 650, and the node isn't full because I expanded the VM drive just around a month or month and a half ago, and I did it to see how quickly it will populate the full drive and if there was a correlation between how much time you spend in the network and how much reputation you have with how much data Storj will actually share with your node. And now let's move on to most interesting part, how much I earned this month. So for 1.1 terabyte shared, I earned $4 in 23 days. So I assume this would be closer to $4.50, $5 at the end of the month. And this machine, since February, because I started it in February, it earned $10 in total, and 846 Storj is holding back for safety reasons. You can watch my other video to understand how this all works. I'm not gonna repeat myself in this video. I just wanted to show you how much I earned and what is the state of Storj in 2021 Q4. Don't get me wrong, I don't consider this a small amount for 1.1 terabyte per month. This is actually pretty good. And if I switch to my other node with just 1 terabyte shared, you can clearly see that there is a huge difference between the traffic, and it may be because this node is based in Ukraine and we have less peers contacting it and downloading the data off of it. The node is fully loaded. It has 0.5 terabyte space total and 0.84 terabytes used. It has a decent uptime, as you can see. By the way, the minimum uptime must be 93%. If you go below that, Storj will kick your node off the network. And monthly earnings for this node is $291, and it's actually below what I expected this node to make this month, because it was going head to head with that other machine with a little more space. But hey, it is what it is. If you look at the total amount earned, it's going to be something similar because we have 958 here. And if we switch back to the other one, we have 994. So they are not too far off from each other. All right, let's switch back to that 1 terabyte node. Again, this node was in the network since February, and I'll show you the payout information just in a second. But before that, let's peek at our last node, which joined the network recently. It is also a 1 terabyte node, And as you may remember, 2 last nodes are Raspberry Pis. They are Raspberry Pi 4s with 4 gigs of RAM. The previous one has 1 terabyte drive, but I lied a little at the beginning of the video, because this Raspberry Pi actually has 1.6 terabyte space, which means that it's a 2 terabyte drive that's connected to this machine. It has very little data populated, but it actually shared a fair amount of storage this month, and it's around 50-50 for egress and ingress, but naturally we are just downloading more repair traffic because we don't have much data at the moment. This particular node is in UK, and it has 100% uptime. For 236 gigs, Storj paid us $1.15, and I assume this will go 140, 150 towards the end of the month. Not a huge amount, but keep in mind that this node is very fresh on the network. Now let's go through the payout information for all 3 nodes, starting with the one hosted in Germany at Hetzner. So for the month of September, we earned $404. You know why I'm laughing. This is an HTTP error, 404. Page doesn't exist. Alright. So that's what we have for September. But we can go back to August, for example. And in August, we had 342. Well, in total, it was 456. But because Storj keeps some coins for safety reasons, we were paid 342. Let's go back even further to July. This month, I got paid $195 because in July, the holdback fee was much larger. And let's go back even more to June. In June, I earned $245 on this node. Not bad. This is probably the top I received for this node so far, $491, and $245 was held back. Now let's switch to May. In May, we earned $344. After fees and everything, net total was $172. Alright, now you know the drill. Let's quickly scroll through other months. So this was May, now let's switch to April, 105 and net total 026. March, 047, and mind you, this was only a start for this node, so it didn't earn anything at that point. This node was online for 8 months approximately, and in total it earned $10. So if you had a similar node, again, this was a 1 terabyte node, but it was hosted in Germany, and we are looking at $10 profit over 8 months. And if you have a big storage system and you can multiply the amount of data you can store on it, the numbers aren't looking that bad, but Storj made few bad decisions, which I'm gonna show you just in a second, once we go through all of our nodes in terms of payouts. So let's switch to our Raspberry Pi 1 terabyte node. Again, it earned in total $958, and if we go to payout information, custom range, August, we earned $326. Then July, $213. June, $246. May, $135. April, $023. March, $012. And February, $003. And again, we're looking at around $10 over 8 months of storing the data. And now I'm going to show you something really interesting. If we switch to our last node, which again is fresh on the network, you can see that we have 5 gigs incoming, 5 gigs incoming, 137, 163. So towards the end of the month, we have a spike in data usage. But before that, it was pretty steady, around 1.3 gigs each day, maybe a little more, like 1.4. Now let me show you the dynamics for the node that's hosted at Hetzner. 528, 7, 7, 8, 7, 7, 8, 8, 8, I'm looking at the ingress traffic because there's something I wanna tell you. So as I assumed, the more you stay in the network, the more reputation you gain, and more data Storj network sends towards your node. And at the back of my mind, I thought that's the case. I had a feeling that that's the case, but it's always good to confirm something without trusting it blindly. Alright, now that I covered earnings and traffic, let's move on to some things that aren't very good in my opinion, and they could be improved upon. Starting with the actual payouts. This is my wallet that's bound to two of my storage nodes, and you can clearly see that the last transaction happened 220 days ago. And there is a good explanation for that, which I'm gonna show you just in a second. I just want you to keep in mind that Storj didn't pay me any tokens for now 8 months of me being with them. And before that, you can see some transactions, and that's because I had some of my nodes active back maybe 2 years ago or something like that. But I decided to reset them in February so I can show you guys what's happening to new nodes and what is the state of Storj hosting in 2021. Alright, let me finally show you what happens. This is official Storj website, and let me read this out loud for you. All Storj node payouts are subject to a per wallet minimum threshold. We will not send a transaction where the fee for the transaction is more than 25% of the value of the transaction. For example, if the average transaction fee is equivalent to $12.50, we'll pay out all wallet addresses that have earned $50 and above. For the wallet addresses that have earned less than the threshold, the earned payout will be included in the following month, as long as the aggregate amount of payouts meets the minimum threshold at the time payouts are sent. Which in simple words means that if you didn't earn at least $50 on the network, and this is going to depend on the price of Ethereum and the price of the transaction, we're not going to send you any money until you earn a certain amount. Which makes sense on one hand, but it doesn't make any sense on the other hand. For example, this sentence right here, if a wallet address has no more active storage nodes associated with it due to graceful exit, disqualification, etc., funds that did not clear previous thresholds will be dispersed. Which basically means that if you have a small node and you didn't make at least $50, and then something like a hurricane hit your city and you sat without any power for few days, your online time on the node will go down, it will be disqualified, and your money will be transferred to Storj. So this is really getting very controversial. And that's the case for any normal Ethereum wallet, but they also implemented ZK Sync, which will help you out a little bit, and you can read more on ZK Sync on their website. I'm not gonna go into details how it all works, you can read it yourself, but my main question is, why not let people use their PayPal account or something like that? You are clearly earning money in fiat currencies, so why not let your node operators have that flexibility to use fiat currency or cryptocurrency? If you are going to close this video, stop, hear me out. Transaction fees on Ethereum network are really getting a little too expensive. So in my opinion, it would be a good solution for both Storj and node operators. Because if you chose something like PayPal or Stripe or whatever rocks your boat, you can easily take that money and buy some cryptocurrency for it. But the point I'm trying to make is that not all investors are starting big. I had few clients interested in the project and they wanted to start from small nodes to 5 terabyte nodes, and they will not earn a lot with such nodes, But that's the whole point. They have to test the project before they can invest a much larger amount into it. It can be very discouraging not seeing any transactions on your wallet at all, and it brings up the question if you should invest with Storj in the first place. Alright, now that we had some negativity in our video, and before you click away, let me actually show you some positive things about the project. Once I installed the node, I didn't have to touch it for 8 months because they made it pretty easy for the software to auto-update. And because this is a Raspberry Pi, whenever power goes out, it will restore eventually and Raspberry Pi will power on automatically. And I left a script in a Chrome tab that will automatically start the Storj software. So I literally didn't have to touch the machines for 8 months they were running, although I had to do some prior work on my nodes to activate the automatic updates on Linux systems and minor things like that. But once Node was up and running, I didn't have to touch it or look at it at any point in my day-to-day life. So it basically sits there, earning few bucks for coffee each month. And another thing is that Storj is a very unique project and it doesn't have any alternatives, good alternatives at the moment. InternXT project was trying to do something similar, but on a different market, and they failed miserably. I'll make a video on why InternXT is a scam next week, so stay tuned for that as well. That's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Like, sub, share, and all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.